I'm sorry, what, Roberto?
Um, um, j- uh,
Oh, yeah, we're recording because there
or
were
yeah,
several students that said that they couldn't come and asked us if we could record it. So hopefully that's okay with y'all. Um, okay, my name is Erica Larkins. I am a professor in anthropology. I've been at SDSU for 8, going on 9 years. I also direct the Brazilian Studies Center here. Probably most of you didn't even know that we had a Brazilian Studies Center, but we do. It's one of the biggest and most active centers of its kind in the US. I'm a cultural anthropologist, so that means that I'm interested in how people make meaning in their daily lives through routines, especially. I have been doing research in Brazil for just about 20 years now. Most of my work is focused in the city of Rio. And uh, um, I originally started out, my focus was on violence in urban violence in low income neighborhoods in Rio. But I have since changed my research focus a little bit to look at how people in low income neighborhoods are coping with climate change. So that's how we ended up with this project about heat, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But that's me. I have taken students to Brazil either on study abroad or in research experiences like this one. Since my very first year as a faculty member, I've taken about 250 students all over the country, in buses, trains, automobiles, walking, you name it. And it's one of the things that I like to do the most. It's like my absolute favorite part of my job. So I'm pretty excited about the possibility to bring a group of students from the Imperial Valley campus to Rio. Roberto, do you want to introduce yourself?
yeah. Hi, my name is Roberto. I'm a professor in Brazil, in Rio, at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, and I'm affiliated to the center. I'm a visiting professor here. Um, I've been um, I've been at SDSU since 2022. Had a lapse of time back in Brazil in 2023, and I usually teach economics, but here at SDSU, I'm kind of, I increase a little bit the range of my disciplines and incorporating a little bit of humanities and sustainability, and in this project, helping Erica with the heat inequality. Aspects of Calexico as well as Rio. So I'm really looking forward to meet you guys in person and exchange, this experience. And if you have any doubts, feel free just to shoot me an email or contact me. So that's it.
So, the project that the International Experience is part of is a 3-year research project that is funded by the National Science Foundation. And the central goal of the project, there's two, but the main goal, really, from a research standpoint, is to try to understand how exposure to extreme heat is, and people's ability to cope with extreme heat is related to social inequality and racial inequality. And we're looking at that in two different settings. So, in the urban heat island of the city of Rio, Rio is extremely hot, as you're all going to find out, hopefully. And in the more rural heat island of, Calexico, El Centro, Bali, or the Valley. So we've been doing field work in Rio for this is the third. We're in the third year, so we have a pretty good sense of how people from different social classes and in different parts of the city, different neighborhoods, how they access, how do they stay cool in the summer? Who has more access to pools? Who has access to the beach? Who doesn't? Who has air conditioning? And how all of those things are related to questions about social inequality. This last summer, we switched from the Rio work to do a project in the Valley. So Roberto and I, together with Professor Linda Abarbanel, who maybe some of you know, we taught a field school on qualitative methods and extreme heat in the Valley. And we've continued to do interviews and try to understand how heat is correlated or related to social inequality in that context. The other goal of this funding from the National Science Foundation is to give students a chance to have an international experience, like an international research experience. So that means traveling to Brazil and working closely alongside faculty members on a specific research project. And for a lot of students, I know like this was something that I never even knew existed or considered as an undergraduate. I had no idea that these kinds of opportunities were available to me. And I think it can be really amazing and life-changing to get to go to another country and also to work really closely with a faculty member in a way that's really different than your normal classes. So the days are, we're going to be there for essentially a week. It's the week of spring break with a little bit on either side, because we kind of lose a day for travel in both directions. The days are going to be organized mostly around, most likely, we'll see how hot it is because that'll determine what we do too, but there'll be some kind of lecture or learning activity, like something that's more kind of structured in the morning for the whole group. So it might be that somebody from, I don't know, the water company, that doesn't sound very interesting, but I guarantee you it will be, comes to talk to us about water provision or water outages in low-income communities. Or, a community organizer that's trying to get air conditioners put in schools will come and talk to us. So there'll be like a learning opportunity of some kind. Will be more structured as a group. In the afternoons or in the other part of the day, the research team, which will include you and Roberto and I, another faculty member named Jen Roth-Gordon from the University of Arizona, and maybe someone else. We're still trying to figure out who the fourth lucky winner of the chance to go to Rio will be. We will work in small groups with the students on specific projects. So, for example, it might be that one of the projects that we decide to work on is about social inequality on the beach, looking at sort of which parts of the beach are frequented by people from which neighborhoods, how hard is it for people to get to the beach, basically using the beach as our field site. So that would be like an afternoon activity. So each day we'll have something that's more structured, almost a little more like a class, but it'll be more interesting than class. And you'll be probably out in the community somewhere while we're doing this. And then in the afternoon, we'll have a very structured research experience where you'll work alongside one of us on a specific project. There will definitely be time also for all the things that you ever wanted to do in Rio, picture with the big Jesus, all that, maybe soccer game, depending on what your schedule's like. There will be time for those kinds of things too, outside of the space of it's not Zoom if there's not like a pet, right? A Zoom pet. Sorry, my cat just decided to come up into the Zoom. So that's more or less the general structure. You don't need to speak Portuguese. Of course, if you do and you want to work on your Portuguese a lot between now and then, that's going to benefit you. But you're going to always be with a Portuguese speaking faculty or a graduate student when you're out and you're having your research experience. The accommodations are going to be, these are the things that I would be thinking about, like, oh, do I want to do that? Like, how many, do you have to share a room with everybody? Basically, it's going to be double occupancy in a hotel. So yes, you'll have like one roommate probably, but not more. In either in Ipanema or Copacabana. We haven't finalized that for sure. It depends a little bit on how many students we end up being able to take. So all of the costs are covered for this. So your plane ticket is covered, your hotel accommodations are covered, and you get a stipend, like a daily stipend, that will more than cover the meals that you would have. So the idea is that, obviously everybody's different. You probably can't go out to like a really fancy restaurant every single day and the stipend won't last for what you need it to. But if you're reasonable, you shouldn't have any out of pocket expenses except for souvenirs that you decide to buy while you're there. So the idea really is to provide an opportunity for everyone that wants to participate without having to worry about accruing any financial costs.
Yeah, the good thing is that the exchange rate is super favorable, to the dollar. So it's almost five. Oh, here's a
Oh, hi. There's like a whole room of people. Hi. Okay. Yeah, so I think in terms of like the deliverables, like at the end of the course, we're hoping that each student will produce a photo essay. We'll talk a little bit more about what exactly that entails, but and how you might put one together, and also to work on reflection paper. I mean, again, it's a short class. It's spring break that really highlights one or two issues, one or two takeaways from the research experience that you had, and perhaps, hopefully, productively compares them to your own experience navigating issues around heat in the valley. So and again, the idea really is for you to be able to be present and enjoy and learn from the research experience, not be, writing really long papers or anything like that. So we're trying to be reasonable, but we also want there to be some kind of a way for you. It's important that you do something concrete that helps you reflect upon the experience that you've had. So I'm guessing that you all have like lots of questions. And so right now, oh, I should tell you, right now we have funding for 5 students. We've applied for a supplement from the National Science Foundation to double, or maybe if we're really lucky, triple that amount. There will not, in no scenario will there be more than 15. As much as I wish. I don't think that even if we hit the funding jackpot, I think that it will most likely be 10, and if we're lucky, it will be 15. So that, just so you have a sense kind of the size. But again, a lot of the work that we do will be in smaller groups, and you'll be working more in groups of 3 or 4 closely with one of the faculty mentors that will go on the trip. So hit me with your questions. Why are you here? What have you been wanting to know about, and what can we answer for you? I guarantee you that there's somebody else that has your same question.
Hello, I have a question. What will a typical day look like?
I don't know. I hope that if you guys came in late, I'm sorry if you missed that, but I'm happy to share again. A typical day will involve eating a really nice breakfast at your hotel. Brazilian hotels give you amazing breakfast, and you'll also discover that the fruit truly is better in Brazil, and so is the juice. Like you're going to be ruined for juice for the rest of your life because it's so much better. So you're going to have your nice breakfast. In the mornings, we will do some kind of structured learning activity, all of us together. So that might be doing a site visit somewhere together where someone is teaching us about something. It might be that, let's say a representative from a local grassroots community that is building. I'll just give you one of the examples I can think of off the top of my head. We work with an organization that is building green roofs in low-income communities to try to lower the temperature in buildings, especially like in schools and community centers. And he faced a lot of resistance to getting people to let him build a green roof. A green roof like covered with plants, right? And so we might invite him to come to talk about his journey building those roofs, how he thought of it, what are the barriers to getting people to adopt this kind of technology, et cetera, et cetera. So he would come to us either to, the classroom that we're going to reserve at Roberto's University, or maybe the hotel, depending. He'll probably give us a lecture and explain this, show us pictures, et cetera. And then in the afternoon, we'll do we'll break into our smaller groups and go out into the city to work specifically on research projects. And we haven't decided yet if we're going to all work on the same project, where it depends a little bit on student background and interest too. And so it might be that we decide we're all working on air conditioning. So what we want to learn is, how does air conditioning work in Rio? Who has it? How much does it cost? And we have one group that's focusing on air conditioning on buses. And so we just try to figure out, or air conditioning on transportation or something like that. So the group will design a study based, around asking some questions about air conditioning and work on that every day. It might also be that we divide up and some people work on the beach or access to water. Some people work on swimming pools. Some people work on AC. We haven't decided that part for sure yet, because it depends a little bit on student interests and capabilities. And then you will have free time for sure. So there will be chances for you to do the kinds of tourist things that you might want to do. I don't believe in, it is an academic program, so we're there to do work. We're not there to like party. I have to say that, sorry. But I also think it would be really sad for you to go to Rio and be inside of a classroom all the time. I don't think that's the kind of experience that these programs are intended to deliver. So there will be room for you also to do tourist things, to engage with local students, to go to museums, maybe to learn how to samba. Maybe go to a football game, that kind of thing. So there'll be room for all of that as well. What requirements do we need to be ensured our spots in the trip? So it's a competitive selection process. There's quite a lot of you that have applied. And so the applications doesn't close until Friday, I think.
Yes.
So after that, we have a committee that will evaluate the applications, and we will probably be doing interviews of the top, 15, 20 people, and make a decision from there. After you've been notified if you've been selected or not, then there'll probably be a time frame, like you'll get a week or 2 weeks to let us know if you accept the opportunity. And there will probably also be some people that are on a waiting list or might not hear right away, because we'll be waiting for the NSF to tell us if they're going to give us more money that we've applied for to take more students. I would say that you, realistically, after we do the interviews and stuff, I would like to be able to notify you before winter break, just so you have it in your minds, like 2025, I'm going to Brazil. But, sometimes it's a little hard to predict exactly how long it will take, especially to know about the additional funding. Sure, no problem.
Hello, my name is Amy Valencia, and I have a question regarding the transportation. So I know that the plane ticket is going to be funded. However, I'm still curious if we're going to have to drive ourselves to San Diego or to go to the airport.
Yeah, no, thank you for asking that. Okay, yes, but you will get it back. So what we will do is we will buy the plane tickets directly. We'll probably put everybody on the same flight, and the plane tickets will be purchased by the university. And then what we do is basically, this is going to be more information, but I think it will help you to understand, is basically we make a travel proposal for you, and they will give, when we make the proposal, we can have 80% of that amount upfront. So you will basically get 80% of the total amount of money that before you leave. So, and that will include whatever we will put the money that will cost you to get to San Diego in that proposal. I mean, so it is 80%, which I know is frustrating, but I would also add something else, which is that we use the State Department determines like how much money one needs to eat in Rio every day. And that's the number that we're using to determine your food. In my opinion, it's pretty high. Like you
Mm.
could really eat extremely well for that, and you might not even spend all of it. So my hope is that because it's really higher than what you're going to need, that the fact that you get 80%, like that there's a little bit that you'll get when you get home, that last 20% will be made up
Yes.
for by the fact that they're really calculating what like a diplomat might eat every day. And honestly, like I don't think I've ever spent that whole amount that is the amount that they think that we need for. I'm not going to argue that we don't need it because it's nice,
Yeah.
but so that's the idea. So the idea is that there will be you will be able to pay, there will be a budget to pay for your transportation to San Diego.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
maybe we
thank
put
you.
everybody together. Like it might also be that when we talk as a group, we're like, actually, it'd be so much better to have a van that just takes everyone and that gets paid for separately. We can see a little bit. I don't know if people's parents want to take them. I don't know if people's like friends or partners want to take them, but we can look at that as it gets closer and really try to make it as supportive and not stressful for you all as possible.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Mhm. And you'll all be on the same flight together. So most likely it'll be San Diego, Houston, Houston, Rio. That's the quickest, shortest route
Yeah.
for the
Roughly
kind
speaking,
of long, miserable flight, but you won't mind because you'll be together, right? And it'll be fun.
yeah,
And you get to wake
roughly,
up in Rio.
yeah, roughly speaking, 12 to 13 hours flight. So it's gonna be exciting. And not to mention that the exchange rate is very favorable in comparing the real, which is our currency, against the dollar. So basically, it's 1 to 6, and so imagine that you're gonna have a budget and you multiply it by 6, when you get to Brazil. So it's a lot of money.
I have a question. So are we leaving March the 28th, or when are we leaving for the trip?
So I think if I remember that March 28th is a Friday, I think. Did anyone check? I think it's a Friday. Um, Again, we will talk once we've made the selection process, we will talk with you all and see if we can leave on the 28th or if people have classes that have exams. I feel like usually people don't have classes on Fridays, or very rarely do people have classes on Fridays, or it's like the hybrid option is Fridays. If if it is possible, it would be a lot better to leave on Friday and then arrive in Rio on Saturday, because really the first day is just kind of a loss. Everybody's exhausted, like you just feel like crap, you need to sleep. And so if we can leave Friday, get there Saturday, the wasted day, sleep, go to the beach, drink coconut water, whatever, then Sunday we can really start. That would be my preference. But if we find in the conversation with the group that that is not possible with people's class schedules, then we will move it to Saturday, arrive Sunday, and then Monday and it'll be the same thing on the return. We will leave Saturday night to arrive back in San Diego. Usually the flight gets in around noon on Sunday, and then you'll just go home and sleep and then go back to class on Monday. So that's the idea. The problem is on the way out, because we're going against the time zones, the flight will be probably at like either 11 o'clock in the morning on Friday. So you just lose a whole day, really. Am I wrong about Fridays? Like, does everybody have class on Fridays and I'm okay? Like sometimes I'm not sure. Like if I am like not estimating that right. So, okay. The other thing I just wanted to mention is that, and I don't think that anybody falls into this category, but you can't have graduated, right? So I know I've gotten a number of emails from students saying like, oh, I'm graduating in December. Can I still go? And the answer is no. You have to be a current student. You can be graduating in May though. So that's totally fine. It's just you have to be a student at the time that you go in the program. But there's no other restrictions about major or if you're a freshman, that's totally fine. If you're a senior, that's fine. We're open around that as well. And we will probably, when we're interviewing you and when we're putting together the research projects, think a little bit about, I know there are students, for example, that have an interest in health that are in the application pool. We have some nursing students. We will think about how to bring in all of the expertise and areas of study that you all bring to the trip when thinking about the research projects. That's just smart research strategy. You always want to draw on the strengths of whoever's doing the work. And so that's partly why we want to interview you to figure out what you really like, what you're really interested in, what do you feel like you're good at, what's a challenge for you, how comfortable are you just talking to random strangers, that kind of thing, all of which are relevant to doing, this kind of ethnographic research. Other questions? This is your time. I mean, you can always email me if you don't want to ask in front of everybody too, or Roberto. It's like no problem at all. Okay. Anything
Out of
else?
curiosity,
I thought of another one that somebody asked me about. Somebody emailed me to ask if the program was credit bearing. Like, do you get course credit for it? We did not set it up that way because it's very short. However, I'm open if receiving credit or at least partial, if wrapping this program into a 499 or an independent study is really critical for your trajectory as a student, I'm open to talking about that. I don't think that that's going to be the case for everyone. And so we left it kind of open. But if it's something for you, like, I really want to go on this, I really want to write a longer research paper, I really want to do a lot of reading before I leave, then I'm open to exploring how it can contribute to a credit bearing experience. But that we didn't set it up that way for everybody. Anything else? Jeff, have I forgotten anything like logistical about or just like anything or any other questions, the things I didn't think of, folks? I hate not being in the same room. You can never tell if you're making any sense to anybody. But I will just say that, like I said at the very beginning, that I've been running programs like this for a very, very, very long time and have taken hundreds of students, and it's really my favorite part of my job. I learn so much every single time, and it's also amazing to get to see a place that I know really well through the eyes of someone that's seeing it for the first time. It means that students always raise questions like about things that I totally don't notice or that I take for granted, and those lead to really interesting research outcomes. And so I'm really excited about doing this. I did remember something else too. If any of you have parents that are like, oh my God, Brazil is so dangerous and Rio is really dangerous, or anything like that, I totally call parents. I have no problem like reassuring anybody that might be worried about this. Again, I've taken so many students to Brazil, and like, knock wood, we've never had really any problems in at all. And a lot of that is about setting expectations and thinking about how one navigates a big city before we go. But if that's a concern, like, I really want to go, but my mom said that, has this idea that Rio is really, really dangerous, I'm always happy to reassure folks about that. Or even if you're feeling like that, oh, I don't know, watched too many Netflix series and worried about it, I'm happy to try and answer any questions in that as well. So
I think one good thing is about work, right? Since they're getting the spring break, does anybody work here that needs some kind of, you know, um, leave of absence certificate or something?
yeah, that would be something too. If that's helpful, we can also write a letter explaining the opportunity and all of that as well. But all right, I will not belabor it. If you all don't have any questions that you want to ask in this setting, please feel free to send me or Roberto an email. And after that application deadline closes on Friday, probably sometime next week, we'll start setting up the interviews with everybody, which will be short. Like, we just want to get to know you and get a sense of what you're interested in. And sometimes it's always hard to know what to write on these applications. And sometimes it's a lot easier to just talk to one of us and tell us what you're excited about or what your concerns are in that setting. And so we'll hopefully get those set up somewhat quick. Next week's a little bit of a funny week with other things going on in the world, but hopefully we'll be somewhat quick in terms of trying to set those up with you all. All right.
Are you
Thank
guys
you.
excited?
I hope you're excited. It's like, this is like going to be super fun. Also, I mean, it will be fun. We promise. So thank you all, and have a good evening and rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.